YouTube, it's your boy FPL man, and I'm back here with a brand new video. It's been a minute since I uploaded the last video. I think it's about over 10 days now. Apologies for not being able to upload sooner, but I wanted to get all the information because there were so many games that happened. Your Carabao Cup results, your FA Cup results. So after all the games been played, now I can make a bit more comprehensive video about my transfer plan as well as best players to buy as well as sell. Ultimately, today we'll be looking at my Game Week 20 review as well as my Game Week 21 team selection and some transfer plans as per usual. We're also going to be looking at potential early chip strategy after some results that we found out from the FA Cup as well as the Carabao Cup. So yeah, let's dive in. There you have it. Your boy had an absolute stinker in Game Week 20. Insane red arrow. My Lord have mercy. Only 51 points. All rank was 16k and had a big fat red arrow all the way down to 39k in the world. I've lost around almost double my rank. Like, it's ridiculous. There was a lot of disappointments in my team. I'll start off with double Arsenal defense. They didn't concede that many chances, to be honest, versus Brighton. But Saliba did make a mistake by headbutting João Pedro. And unfortunately, it was a pen. And that was the only chance they had, to be fair. And Arsenal ended up conceding. And there goes my double Arsenal clean sheet. It might be a time where we start talking about what to do with these Arsenal assets, whether you actually need to have double Arsenal defense or whether you need to have an attack. Probably now that Saka is out, in singing corners are much more less nowadays. Like the crosses that Saka was giving, I don't think anyone else can replicate that in that team, whether it be Odegaard, Martinelli, or whoever. So maybe there is a conversation to consider taking out Gabriel because he's quite a bit of money right now, like 6.4. And when you have the likes of Lewis Hall, Robinson, Munoz, a lot of the enablers, like even the Forest defenders, which have been going under the radar, like Aina or Milinkovic, they could probably keep up with Gabriel. And I'm not sure if he's worth the price tag at this moment in time. But look, I feel like there's too much money invested in my defense. Like, look, Trent got 0 points, Gabriel and Raya like 5 points, and those three are like alone are worth like over like 19 million. So there's too much money on my defense. Maybe I need to consider downgrading one of these premium defenders, whether it be Raya or Gabriel. But really disappointed with the back line. Lewis Hall, I expected big things from him versus Spurs, but they also considered a goal. So it's been tough, but Lewis Hall has done more than good enough in the last few fixtures. So I'm not too concerned about him, and there are good fixtures to come. And then moving on to the midfield, differential in Foden did pay off. However, who I did sell for Foden was Mbemo. Ended up getting 19 points versus Southampton. So that was an absolute dagger. So although Foden returned, it was nice. But on the other hand, who I sold for outscored him by 11 points. So that was brutal. But I don't regret that. I mean, I did see the positions that Mbemo was getting in, which was playing right wing back essentially. And I wasn't impressed with him versus the likes of Forest and Brighton. So I ended up selling him. So there's no regrets there. And then you have the biggest disappointment, even over the double Arsenal defense, is the triple Chelsea attack. That, I mean, my goodness, like their numbers went from like best attack in the league to absolutely the worst. Like they're struggling to score goals now. Like obviously Palmer is, he'll scored a solo goal again. Palmer is doing his individual brilliance and scoring out of nothing. But the likes of Jackson and Enzo falling off a cliff. Absolute shocker after shocker. My goodness, Jackson is missing sitters after sitters. And Enzo is all of a sudden playing a bit more deeper now the Lavia is not available. So that triple Chelsea experiment did not work, and I need to find a way to maybe get rid of one of these guys. And then obviously another one disappointment is Jesus. He blanked again. Look, Jesus was also a punt that didn't go my way. I just feel like with my team, when I'm looking at it, there are too many punts. I haven't gone safe that many assets, if I'm being honest. Like Jesus, Foden, these are all punts. Enzo is a punt. I need to figure something out and maybe potentially make a couple of big changes in my team. And then last but not least, your boy Ahmad, who ended up was being benched because he's Liverpool away, but he ended up with a 9 punter. Is there any regrets? Potentially there was a shout for him to start ahead of Enzo, but I didn't start him at the end of the day, so I don't deserve his points. Ultimately, shocker of a game week. Let's hope we can bounce back in game week 21. So now let's move on to game week 21 transfer plans. For game week 21, I am looking to move Jesus out. Arsenal does not look good attacking wise. Their numbers are actually even worse. They were already struggling with Saka to create anything in the open play. Now that he's out, they're even struggling more. and Jesus just seems to be everywhere. He's playing CDM, he's playing right back, he's playing left back, he's doing everything but except play striker and try to get into those good positions. So I'm not a big fan of what I've seen so far. And not only that, in the FA Cup, he did get a severe injury. It might be his knees or something, and he was taken off at a stretcher. So there's an excuse for me to not sell him. Although he had a very good fixture, which was Spurs in Game Week 21, he just won't be available. So I have an excuse to now get rid of him, which is a good thing. And I do have the transfers to deal with it. However, the replacement, I'm struggling this week. There are two replacements I've got in my mind currently is Mateta and Wood. Mateta is a really good entry point with Leicester, West Ham, Brentford. The next three are phenomenal fixtures. But on the long run, I'm not sure the fixtures are that great. Like you got United, I mean Everton, maybe now that Dash is not here, maybe it's a good fixture. And then you got Fulham and Villa, those are tough fixtures. And then Ipswich in 28. So the fixtures does say that it's Mateta, but I don't really trust Palace attack that well. So at the same time, one can make an argument like they are improving attacking wise, but Chris Wood just seems to be like the safest option. Although he's got Liverpool, it's not the greatest entry point, but he's at home, and you never know, something could happen where Forest, pull off a result. They've already beat them at Anfield, so it wouldn't be out of this world to think that they can do it again. Now, Chris Wood is a long-term pick. His fixtures might not be there, but he's just taking along the whole season. Like he's got Southampton in 22, and then I guess Bournemouth away is a tough fixture. Then Brighton, it's okay, and Fulham, Newcastle, Arsenal. Like the fixtures are actually kind of very difficult if I'm being honest after Southampton. So it might be that I go with Mateta. These transfers are not confirmed yet. I'm leaning towards Chris Wood because there is a bit of bias. I owned him / he's been ticking along. And Mateta has not been in the best form, although he scored recently. So it's gonna be a close call between Mateta or Chris Wood. But I might end up going with Chris Wood. That's why I have him on my graphics. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Would you be going to Mateta or Chris Wood from Jesus this week? Now let's move on to Game Week 21 team selection. So for Game Week 21, I'm lining up with Raya, Gabriel, Hall, and Trent at the back. Raya and Gabriel does have a tough fixture with Tottenham at home. I'm expecting them to concede, to be honest. Tottenham does look great attacking wise, regardless of the fixtures that they have. They always like to score. And then you got Lewis, Hall, and Trent. I do think there are some upside there with Hall having Wolves at home. I'm expecting potentially a double-digit Hall there, once again. But with Trent and Gabriel, I'm not sure if they will keep clean, but there is always an upside for those two to get an attack and return. For Trent, it's an assist or a goal. With Gabriel, it's more likely a bullet header. And Raya, I just hope he gets some save points, but I'm not expecting a clean sheet for Arsenal. They don't look that great. They've just lost to United. They lost to Newcastle in the Carabao Cup. So they have not been looking great. And whether it be defensively or attacking wise, I still don't trust them. The numbers are good defensively, but I do think there is a potential for me to maybe explore and go for other options in the likes of Robinson or one of the Forest defenders. It's just that the fixtures are not too great for Forest coming up, but they're still ticking along, to be honest. But pretty happy with the back line, I guess. And in midfield, you got your usual Salah, Palmer. Salah does have the captaincy armband currently, but it could easily be on Palmer. I'm not 100% set on that. It could be one of those situations where I make the decision on the deadline day. But Isak is another such out. He did have a bit of I think, a small hamstring injury. That's what Eddie Howe said. So I don't know if he will recover on time for that fixture. If he does, he's a very good shout. Wolves at home, he does have the best fixture on paper out of the three. But if I were to rank the captaincy currently, for me, I would have Salah, I would say Palmer 1, Salah 2, Isak 3. But I do have it currently on Salah, but it could easily go to Palmer. And then you have Foden, who's got Brentford away. Still great fixtures. He did return the last 2 weeks, although he's not looked great on the eye test. But I do think these are great fixtures coming up for him with Brentford and Ipswich. So I hope, he can tick along and maybe, return 1 or 2 more goals. And then finally, you got my Mr. Differential, Ahmad. Is he a differential? Maybe not. But Southampton at home. I know a lot of people sold him, but they might be buying him back now that he scored. I still like him. Southampton at home. I did bring him in for Saka. So I guess you can call that, being, I guess, ahead of the curve in that sense. I wanted to basically, buy Foden, and I wasn't going to go to Foden at that time when Saka was injured. So Ahmad seemed to be the right guy. There was a good entry point as well. So ultimately happy with midfield. Now moving on to the strikers, I do have Chris Wood there. I have not confirmed that transfer, as I said. However, it's highly likely that I can bring him in. If not, it will be Mateta. But I'm not too pleased with Jackson, who does have Bournemouth at home. he just seems to be lacking confidence, and he's not being clinical as he was earlier in the season, and he just seems like he's always looking over his shoulder, waiting when he's gonna get subbed off. The minute is 60, 70 minutes, he's looking over his shoulder, and I think Mariska is not doing a very good job at managing him, and I think he's trying to please other players like the likes of Nkunku and manage egos, whereas he should be doing what's best for the team. And ultimately, Jackson does help the team play better. He does make more options, and the team fluids much more better when he's playing. And Isak, Wolves at home, as I said, he's potentially captain shout, great fixture. A lot of people are getting in Gordon, which is a good transfer, but I mean, or by all means, bring him in. He's in great form. They have really good fixtures coming up. I also want to give a shout out to Murphy, who was only 5.1. I do think if you wanted to, triple up on Newcastle with, I guess, minimal risk, it's a nice punt to go Murphy. But again, I just think it's too short term. They are going to blank in Gaming 29 as they did beat Newcastle, as they did beat Arsenal in the Carabao Cup. So you got to think about that. But still, there's a long time away. And then finally, moving to the bench, you got Fabianski, Enzo, Burgess, and Greaves. I'm not starting Enzo because I've already been burnt by a triple Chelsea attack. I played them versus Ipswich, I played them versus Palace, and I've been burnt. I don't want to get burnt the third time. So ultimately, I'm learning my lessons. And I guess the team looks somewhat decent. I do think, though, Mateta does interest me. The fixtures are very tempting, but I also got to think long term. The only issue with Mateta is that he's gone to blank in Game Week 29. And not only that, do I trust Palace attack more than Forest in the long run? Will it be another trap like how it was with Jesus? So there's a bit of a hesitancy to go there with Mateta. But ultimately, it is not the worst shot in the world because the fixtures are there and he did score the goal last week. So let me know what you guys think. Now let's move on to the predicted double and blank game weeks and potential early chip strategy. So here are the predicted doubles and blank game weeks. Currently, we are somewhat, I guess, almost 50-50 between game week 24-25 for the Liverpool double game week as well as Everton. We're expecting that if Liverpool does make the top 8 in the Champions League table, which is most likely will happen, then Liverpool will double in 24-25. And if that does happen, for those who have the TC chip, I do think that's when you should use it. Whereas if you don't have the TC chip, I personally feel like you should use the AM chip because you can plan for it ahead of time, as well as save the 1.5 million if you wanted to go with slot. And if you wanted to take a punt, you could go as obviously David Moyes, who is an Everton manager now. Or you could also go a bit more with a balanced approach and go with slot for the first, I guess, double game weeks and bank that 18 points or 20 points, and then go to an Arteta if you still want to be safe, or if you want to take a risk, go to a McKinnon where he plays Spurs, and that way maybe you have a safe option as well as a punt. I do like that personally, and that's the route I'm in because I already used my TC. I'm going to be using my AM chip, which is a system manager chip in game week 24/25. However, if you have the triple captain's chip, I think it's a no-brainer to use it on Salah, wherever the double is, if it's in 24 or 25. I do think that the TC is a bit more powerful now that Sean Dash has been sacked and David Moyes is the manager for Everton. So there might be more goals in that game. And then moving to blank game week 29, one thing to note that Newcastle did beat Arsenal 2-0. So that means most likely we're assuming Newcastle and Palace would blank in 29. So I do want to say that if you are doubling and tripling up on those teams, do consider the fact that you might be setting yourself up to free hit in that game week because Liverpool also will most likely blank, especially the fact that Spurs are going into Anfield and slot might play his best lineup. So consider that if Liverpool is blanking, if Villa is blanking, if Newcastle and Palace, which most likely will blank, there's too many players that we already own from those teams, the likes of Salah, Trent, Isak, and Hall and others. You might be, kind of forced in a corner. So if you haven't made those moves already and you've not tripled up, do consider that. And I do think that there is a benefit in using the free hit in a double game week, and that is my current plan. And my current plan is to, I guess, manage the blank game week 29 with transfers, and for the double game week 33, which is basically the FA Cup blanks, which will be rescheduled for that game week. That's when Palace will be doubling, Villa will be double, as well as Liverpool if they do make it out versus Spurs, as well as Newcastle. So that week could be for some people a bench boost option, but personally I'm going with the free hit route for that gaming specifically. And then I'll be dead ending my team to gaming 34, where there'll be up to 8 matches we may, I guess, get postponed due to the FA Cup, depending on what teams make it to the semi-finals of the FA Cup. So that's my current plan. Dead into 34 and then wildcard in 35 and bench boost in 36. So this basically means that I get to use my remaining chips, all of them in double game weeks. Free hit in 33 double game week, bench boost in 36 double game week, and as well as use my AM chip in game week 24/25 double game week. But this is only if you don't have the TC already. However, if you have all your chips remaining, it may not be that plan that you go with. It may be that, okay, maybe you use the free hit in game week 29 and you load up on the assets of Palace and Newcastle, who does have a good fixture up until that point. So yeah, it could be different strategy for different teams depending on what chips you have left. But to be honest, still early days. We'll be touching on this section more in the future. But currently, if you have a bit of an early chip strategy plan, do let me know in the comment section below, and let me know what you guys think of my chip strategy, whether you think it's a good or a bad. So yeah, thank you guys so much. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'm gonna see you guys next week. Peace out.